Hello everyone. In the last session, we discussed about ABAP managed database procedures, how to create ABAP managed database procedures, and what are the benefits of accessing writing ABAP managed database procedures. So I'll give a little recap of ABAP managed database procedures. So AMDBs are used in a bottom-up approach. So in sorry, AMDBs are used in the top-down approach. So you will write your ABAP code in the ABAP system and you deploy it in the native SQL as a stored procedure in HANA. So if you want to write directly native SQL in ABAP, then you use object-based ABAP managed database procedures. So to create your stored procedures, you write your ABAP managed database procedure in the ABAP system itself. So you deploy it into HANA. So if I go back, so we use ABAP managed database procedures as in ABAP system. So we write them in ABAP system. As ABAP managed database is nothing but a class-based, object-based methodology. So you'll write them and you'll write your SQL. You'll implement interface called IMDb marker interface, marker HDB interface. So as soon as when you implement this interface, so you will be able to deploy it in. You can write a native SQL stored procedure logic in methods. So you will be able to create a stored procedure in HANA. So this feature is supported from NetWeaver ABAP 7.4. So in the top-down approach. So here, no transport required from moving the system, moving from ABAP to HANA, since you are creating in ABAP, and as soon as when you activate it is stored in the HANA. So its approach is code to data paradigm. You are writing your calculation logic directly in the HANA. So it gives HANA capabilities. So ABAP server acts as a sole master for deploying and managing and calling database procedures. So AMDB provides as a methods of global classes marked with interface AM interfaces. So HANA database procedure created at the first call of AMDB method. So when you call AMDB method, the database procedure will be the first call. Transport only required for an ABAP class. Only ABAP database tools required here. ADT, you need ADT to create AMDB. So here you cannot create AMDB using ABAP system. Note this point. You can create only AMDB in ADT, ABAP development tools. So coming to uh, what it has, AMDB has. So I'm just recapping. It can have SQL script code in ABAP. It integrates SQL syntax with ABAP syntax. So you can have your SQL syntax in the means of ABAP syntax. ABAP AMDB creates and manages stored procedures, runtime objects, and HANADB. So it is implemented using method ABAP class. So it has a marker interface. So AMDB marker HDB methods have to be marked with by database procedure. So method contains SQL script code. So we'll see how to create AMDBs. So I will go into system and I will show you, and I will create a new AMDB class. So I'll just go to on a studio. So I'll be creating a class. So as a normal class, I have to create a class. This is my package. I can create development object new. So I can see I can create an ABAP class. So what I will be doing was ZCL underscore AMDB EX. So this is my example. So example class which I'm creating for AMDB. So example class. So I'm clicking on next and finish. Now here, this is nothing but the source code based which you get when you go to SC24 of your ABAP class. When you go to source code, you will get this type of editor to write your class logic. So here what you should do is by default, we'll get by default source implementation. In the public section, what you need to do is, so you need to uh, you need to write your interface logic here. So I will wait for the system to respond. It is not responding. So it takes some time to respond from the system. So here you need to give interfaces. So if underscore amdb. If I give control space, there will be marker HDB. So this is the interface which needs to be implemented. So if you create the same class from SC24 and if you try to implement this AMDB marker interface, it will show you error. So this should be implemented from ADT in a ABAP perspective. So if I will be able to activate if I do control F3. So if I see activation was successful. So now I have to create a method. So what I will be doing is I will be creating a method. So methods. So consume underscore stored procedure. This is a method. Suppose consume underscore sp is the stored procedure. So if you see implementation missing for this method, so what I will be doing was I'll be writing the method implementation, method definition. I have declared the method now, but I have to write that implementation as well. So consume underscore sp, so end method, so this is where I need to write my SQL script here. So I'll just copy paste from the code snippet which I have already. So I'll be using this stored procedure. So if you see this, I'm just adding the code snippet here. So the consume deep sp is a method. So to make this method as a SQL script code, so you have to write the syntax called by database procedure. You have to use by database procedure for HDB. The language should be SQL script. So options read only. So that means that you are making this SQL script read only. So you can make it as insert, update, delete as well. So if you have in HANA stored procedures when you are creating, you can make your stored procedure read only. You can make a stored procedure update as well. Options read only using. So you have to write which tables you are using in your stored procedure. So this like if you have a in ABAP you have perform and form syntax. So when you call perform, you using which tables you are using to sending to form, you will raise the same way. You have to raise which tables, you have to declare all the tables which are using in your SQL script. So this is the declaration of AMDB method. So you want to make your method as AMDB, you have to declare by database procedure for HDB and language as SQL script. So that makes when you define language for database HDB and language as SQL script, that method becomes SQL script code, allows only SQL script code in that method. Options is nothing but you can give whether it is read only, whether it is insert possible, update possible, you can give it in the options. Using is nothing but the syntax where which tables you are using here. So all the tables which you use in your method should be declared here. So if you see here, I have used SNWD underscore BUPA. So this is EPM business partner sales order table. So this table I have used here. So suppose if I'm not using this table, suppose, so it gives me error saying that, so unable to interrupt using possible cause of error. So incorrect spelling. So if I just take this using as well, it's not mandatory. So it will give me control F3 if I am try to activate this. So it will show me error saying it is showing SNWD underscore BUPA. So here the better syntax should be using SNWD underscore BUPA. So control F3. If I activate this is if you see this, uh, I think I just closed it. I will just open it. So I'll go to classes, exl. This is my example. So I'll again take this. So this is my method. I'm just activating it. So activation was successful. So this is a simple select statement which I have written. I'm selecting BPID. This is a native SQL. So you can see native SQL. I have used comma separated for column list, selected list. So BPID company name from SNWD underscore BIPA. I'm just exporting, I'm just taking it into a ET class. So this is my exporting to this variable. Suppose I can export as well. So if I need to export this, I can export as well. So if I don't export this, even it is active, because in native SQL, you no need to write into. When you have ETSQL, you no need to declare as well this ETSQL, ET class. This is just, it will automatically store BPID and company name in this table. So here, so you need to see this method implementation syntax has by database provider. So indicates here for here if you see HDB, for HDB indicates here body contains database specific code. So database specific to HDB. So not, this is not executable in ABAP server. So the database platform which we are using was HDB. So database provider language. So provider language which we are using was SQL script. So for ABAP dictionary tables, so we use using for ABAP dictionary tables, dictionary views, and other AMDB methods also. You can be used here in using syntax. Suppose if you wanted to access other AMDB method, if as of now I have only one AMDB method here. If I have other AMDB method, that AMDB method also can be accessed here. I will be showing you that. So native SQL HANA script source code goes here. So if this is the native SQL HANA script source code, you have to write here. So this is how you define your AMDB. And when you declare your when you as soon as when you create your class, you have to declare the interface marker interface for HDB. So this is the marker interface for HDB. So here when you define your methods, so you can export or import as well. So SQL script code possible in this method, since you have write by database browser you have written here. So hmm, so here, so this is the class implementation and this is the class definition as well. So I will just activate it. Now, now to consume this methods, so what we will be doing? So we will create a new report. Suppose I'm just creating a new. You can consume it in other CDS view, or you can consume it in here in a method as well. Suppose I can take one proper program, so new ABAP program. So what I will be doing was ZACC AMDB. So I'm accessing AMDB method. So access. So I'm just giving some meaningful description. So I'm clicking on next. I'm clicking on finish. So what I will be doing in this method was, so if I double click this, it will open to a, I'm maximizing it. So this is my class. So I'll declare this class in this class as a data. So I can create LRF. I can do type reference to this is my AMDB class which I have created just now. I'm just copying, pasting here. So this is my class. So I can create an object for this. So create object LRF. So what I can do LRF. So I can do consume SP. So this is the method which I can consume. So control F3. So this is how we access AMDB methods. So success activation was success. So when you run this report, you will get the result into ET table. So if you see ET class, you will get, suppose if I export, so I can able to expose as well. So if I wanted to expose that, I can expose as well. So suppose if I write ET class consume method ET class, so I can write exporting value as well. So BPID company name, and I can report them and I can display them as well. So as of now, I'm not displaying that as output. So you can do importing parameters, exposing parameters. So all these things you can do here in AMDB. So limitations of AMDB were actually exporting, importing, and changing parameters are allowed. So only exporting, importing, and changing parameters are allowed. Method with the returning parameters cannot be implemented in AMDB. Suppose if I have here method, I cannot use returning parameters for implemented AMDB methods. Only I can use exporting, importing, and changing parameters. So method with returning parameters are not possible in AMDBs. So method parameters have to be tables or scalar types. So this should be passed by value. So method should be table or scalar type and should be passed by value. When I do exporting, I should be able to do with only pass by value. I cannot do, suppose if I do this is my exporting class. So I'm just using this exporting. So I can use this, I can go to my code snippet and I use this um, sp exporting class. So this is exporting et class. So I have to declare this tt as well. So what I will be doing is I'll just copy paste my types as well. So I can define my types. So I'll using this types. I'll go to this class. So interface here I can define my types. So if you see control F3, I'm just activating it. So what I have done now, so I exported value which I got, but this is passed by value. So I'm just doing returning the et class. So what I can do was I'll just try here. It's returning. So for me, when I do, it's importing. So this is importing is equal to ext class sum. So if I do lt some lt table, if I do, I need to declare that where that as well here. So lt table. So if you see, so what I will do is just exporting value et class. So that means that what I can do was lt table. So I need to declare lt table. So how I will be declaring this lt table was I'll just copy this types. So I'll use data instead of types here. So I will use lt table. So it is showing me does not have returning parameter. You can call it to the expression. So it is not returning. It is just exporting. It is showing some error. Actually, when you define AMDB method, you can actually that takes that parameter which you define here. So you see here exporting value is et class underscore type. This is ty tt underscore class. So in the same way here, uh, it's a it's automatic when you see it is not declared. So you no need to declare this actually. So if I remove this now, so then also you will get, because you no need to define this. So because in a native SQL script code, uh, this is automatically called. Suppose if I just take this as well, so it will. So generally when you have in ABAP report, so you need to define your exporting class. If you see this is not at declared at anywhere. That means that native SQL is has a capacity of storing your result dynamically into data table, so which you can as soon as when you call, you will be able to execute this as well. So you will be able to see ET class with a value as well. So which I will be showing you in a debugging of AMDBs. So limitations here was exporting, importing, and changing parameters are allowed. Methods with returning parameters cannot be implemented, and and you have method parameters have to be passed as a values here. So like any other AMDBs, we have error handling as well in AMDBs. So suppose if you provide invalid parameters, so your syntax errors in SQL script code after changing. So if there is any error in SQL script code, and if you have to in database procedures, if there is any internal error, so then what it happens was AMDB provides a detailed ABAP short dump as well. So SQL script error message can be evaluated from ST22. So you can have a special ST22 section for AMDBs, so where you will be having the in ST22 you can have SQL script error message evaluated. So incorrect syntax here, so this type of errors and short dumps can be handled from ST22. There is a special ST22 section for AMDB methods, so which you can do debugging here. So you can do exception handling as well. So there we can debug as well AMDBs, which I will be showing you at the later point. So you can debug as well your AMDBs. So how to debug AMDBs and how to debug your report program, so which you have, which I will be showing you at the end of the session. So end of the unit, as in the appendix, I will be showing you how to debug AMDBs. This is possible from SAP 7. Above 7.4 and above. So here and how to call how what actually when you use AMDBs, you will be implementing 93% improvement in the execution time was noticed with the code push down technique. So before if you take SQL ABAP trace before AMDB usage and after AMDB usage, so the performance will be increased a lot. So before AMDB, for the same application, the same scenario, if you use AMDBs, then there is a major improvement, 93% improvement by standard in execution time was noticed in the code push down, code to data in the native SQL. If you don't use AMDBs, then there is less improvement. So where there is a scenarios which is possible with AMDBs, better you use AMDBs. So how to call other AMDB method in your suppose if you have one more method, suppose saying method get method, so how to call the other method? So there is a syntax to call the other method as well. So if you have some method saying consume sp, so if you wanted to call other AMDB method, so this is one more AMDB method, suppose say, so some other method, so you have, so some static method you have, so how you call this? So you should call using this syntax. So this is, so what you do was you'll have a call. So you need to use a syntax in SQL script. You should use call syntax, and then you should encode all the uh, um, you should encode your class when you call your method with class name, static class name, you should encode with double quotes, and you have to pass your importing and exporting parameters to your method. So suppose if this is my ET output, suppose I can pass this ET output so as importing parameter, and I can get the result as exporting. This is importing, this is exporting, suppose. So when you write this method, you need to uh, uh, keep in mind this should be caps. So it should be capital letters, then only it will allow you to call the other AMDB method. Otherwise it doesn't allow you to call the other AMDB method. So keep this point into consideration. So and you should use here all the uh, usage also, you have to use this class, otherwise it is not eligible to call the method. Suppose if you wanted to call AMDB method, so from one method to other method, I'll be showing you how to call that as well. So I'll wait for the system to respond, so then I will be showing you how to call one method from the other method. So I'll go to my example. What I'll be doing was I will use one more method called method get result. I'll use get result. What I will be doing was I'll use this method as a class methods. So class methods, class methods. That means that I'm using it as a static method. So when you define a static method, you'll do like this. You have to define in a source code implementation. So method implementation was missing. So what I'll be doing was I'll be writing just a blank method. So method. So this is get result. So I'll use get result. So end method. So end method. So this is a blank method. I'm not writing any implementation. So but to make this method as a AMDB method, I have to use this same syntax. So I'll be using Control C, Control V. So since I'm making one more AMDB method, I have to write the same syntax. So get result AMDB method. So I will be not using this using syntax as of now. So I'll just write this. So the body of the reps cannot be empty. So what I will be doing is I'll write some select. So same select. I will write same select as well from here as well. So Control C. So same. I'm writing one more method with the same syntax. So in this case, I'm wanted to show you how to call one method. So if I wanted to call get result from consume SP, so one from a one MDB method, if I wanted to call other MDB method, what I should do was first I need to write the using syntax. So in using, since I am calling this, I have to write jetcl underscore, since my class name was this is my class name. I have to write this class name and how to I'm just writing this method with if you see this code completion, I'm not getting code completion as of now, so I will use get result Control C and Control V. So I used get result here. So I have to write the implementation as well here. It is showing me red. So this calling of method from one method, maybe it is possible from NetWeaver 7.5. I'll be showing you how to call as well. So I'm just copying this syntax. So call, I need to make sure to have written the current syntax. I'm just copying it. So I'll use call and I'll be using this instead of get result. I should pass you should the caps letters. You should maintain your class name as capital letters AMDB underscore ex1. So this is my class name. Get result is already in caps letters. So since I'm not passing any importing or exporting parameters, I can leave it as well. So if you wanted to pass, you can pass it as well. So I'm just so this is my how to pass the method. So since I'm getting this red error since I'm using NetWeaver 7.4, so this is, future is possible from NetWeaver 7.5. So that's why you are not able to get this result. So I'll just comment it. So this is how you access it. So I can do it. So I will show you how this is complex. Means if you want to pass from importing and exporting parameters as well, you can pass them. So what you need to keep in mind was when you use call function, the method call should be enclosed with braces and it should be capital letters. Should be have capital letters. Cap should be used. Capital letters. Capital letters should be used to call in the call syntax. Otherwise, it will throw you error, and you have to use using syntax when you are calling. Otherwise, it will show you error. So this is how you call one method from other method. I'm just activating it. It is showing, maybe it is taking so much time because I used here call implementation again, so I have to uncomment it. So I'll do uncomment it. So because of, I'll just close it. So what I will do is method consume. end method. So this is one method, this is other method. So other method, editing. So I'm editing it. So I'll just see this. I'll close this. Yes, I'll close this. So I'll use only this method to activate it. So I'll activate the only this method. Currently editing. Maybe somewhere it's happening to edit. So that's why it is not able to edit. So this is how you basically you activate your database provider. So this how you use your how to define your database provider and how you call your AMDB method from one method to other method. So this is how you do. So now what I will be doing was the performance will be increased drastically if you use AMDB methods because you are writing your native SQL logic in ABAP directly in ABAP. You are doing a code push down. It will get the HANA capabilities, so performance will be more. So we'll go to slides now. So we'll continue with the next slides. So creating ABAP MDBs, we have just seen how to create AMDBs. How to debug AMDBs, we will be showing you at the end of the session. When all the units was completed, I will be showing how to debug AMDBs. So through a video. So now there is a concept called CDS table functions. So there is a CDS table function as well when you create in ABAP NetWeaver 7.5. So now currently in my HANA Studio, I will be not able to show you. I cannot show you how to create a CDS table function. So in ABAP DDL sources, the normal SQL view. So when you have a normal SQL view, there is a define view syntax. So but there is a syntax called define table function as well. So you can define a table function. So in the table function, what you would do is you can consume your AMDB method. So if you have a AMDB method with um, uh, class method, there is a method, static method called get flights. So you will be able to use the table function as a, so first step for defining CDS table function would be uh, you have to define using normal when you can define from here as well. So I can show you, but it won't be executed from here. So we can create new definition. So same CDS, so table CDS tab function. So I'm just giving table function. So table function. So this is possible from NetWeaver 7.5. So now it's just a normal view. When I click on finish, so I'm just clicking on finish. So it's just a normal view. So what suppose if I just take this everything, I'm just selecting data source. So define view I'm getting. So define, if I go to my slides, it is showing me define table function. So if I give view, it is showing me saying that code completion showing that view exists. If I give table function, so it is showing me that there is no table exists. Unexpected word keyword view expected. That means that my current ABAP system I'm using was net 7.4. So that is why it is not allowing me to use table function. So you can have CDS table functions as well. This is not a view. So you have to um, see here properly that this is not a view. So this is a table function. So if you see how you define a table function was like a normal Redux structure, will create a DDL source. So we'll create define table function with table function name you will have with parameters. You can have view with input parameters as well for your table function like client and then some carrier ID. So it will returning mandate, carrier ID, con ID, city from city to. So it is returning from where it is returning. So it is returning from AMDB method. So in this AMDB method, you will write the corresponding select query to fetch client name, carrier ID, con ID, and you are returning from this AMDB method to CDS function so that you can display them from the CDS. If you wanted to consume some ABAP logic from AMDBs, how you do it? So you will have you can create a CDS table function which can be used implemented by AMDB method. So and it returns the values from AMDB method. So this is how you define your CDS table function. Syntax would be define table function. This is not a view. So it should be client dependent true, since in your native SQL, when you write your native SQL in MDB method, that is client dependent. You have to take explicitly mention client in your native SQL. That is why. So this is taken from help.sap.com from SAP NetView 7.5 CDS table function, the enhanced feature how to consume MDB methods and CDS views. So if I go to the code snippet of how sample code of how this AMDB method were declared. So if declared and implemented. So I'll go to next slide. So if you see here a ABAP sample method, how I declared it. So this is my class. So if you see, this is my class name and this is the method name. So this is AMDB method. So this is my class declaration definition. So public section, I will be using interface marker HDB, and the class method is getFlight. So here, instead of, when you have a AMDB method with database procedure, you will be using importing, exporting, changing parameters. But here, your class method you define it as a table function for table function example. So that means that this table function example, you will replace it with this one. So if you define table function with some name, that table function name you have to give here. So that means that you are saying that the importing or input for this method will be the table function. So if this table function has importing parameters, so that importing parameters will be valid to this. So if you see, it has with parameters, with this table function has client and then carrier ID as importing parameters. You are using this one as a importing to this method, AMDB method. So as soon as when you execute this table function, then it will access this input parameters. This input parameters goes into this method, and in through this definition it goes to input and fetch the results back to, it will return the results and it will return the results back to here. So flow would be from the CDS function, you will execute this, define your CDS function, you will execute this. So when you execute this, these importing parameters will go inside to this method and it will access this importing parameters and gets the result here and returns to this view and displays it. So here in this method get flights, you will the declaration would be table function definition. And then how you implement this, the implementation would be, you will have a class. In the class implementation, the method will be get flights, and you will use, instead of by database procedure which I have shown you before, you will be using by database function for HDB. So for HDB would be language, and the language should be SQL script. The options is read only. What I'm using scar and SPLF. So this table function always returns some value. Without returning parameter, you would not able to define a table function. By default, table function is used to return the value. Database procedure is used to used for importing, exporting, and changing variables. But table function is used to return the value from the method to the CDS view. So this returning in the return as well, what I have done was I used a inner join from, so if you see from scar ID, some career table and flight table, I have used a join, inner join. If you see here in the where condition, on condition is from the career and SPLF. In the where condition, the mandate and career ID is a importing parameters. When you have a importing parameters in native SQL, you declare the variables with colon. So if you see the colon client, the colon carrier is the importing values for this method. So these values I'm getting from here. If you see client and carrier. So these are the importing values. So I'm getting client and carrier as importing values, and order by I'm using a simple inner join and returning it. So when I'm returning, what I'm selecting, mandate I'm selecting, client I'm selecting, carrier ID. So mandate as client, so mandate, carrier, con ID, city from and city to. These values I'm telling you to return. So these values I'm writing in a return syntax in my CDS view. So when I execute this, this query will be executed in my DB, AMDB method, static method, and returns the values to CDS view and get the output. Currently, I'm not able to execute this because since I'm using a ABAP NetViewer 7.4. If in ABAP NetViewer 7.5 system, this feature is supported, so you can access AMDB methods in CDS view in this way. So this is very nice feature to do code push down. So if you have, if you need to have in your method only importing, exporting, changing variables. So in AMDB supports two things. AMDB supports database procedures AMDB supports database functions as well. In database procedures, you'll be having only importing, exporting, changing values. In database functions, you'll be having HDB. You will be having returning values. So, so CDS table function supports only table functions. It doesn't support database procedures. It supports only table functions. Okay. So this is about table function. This is a good feature from NetWeaver 7.5. So what are the key takeaways from this unit? So the key takeaways from this unit would be, so how you use AMDBs. So what are the use of AMDBs? So how you use it, how to create AMDBs, the architecture where in the bottom up approach where AMDB fits. So we discussed initially, and we have seen how to create AMDBs, how to call AMDBs, how you implement AMDB, which interface is required to implement AMDBs, what is the native SQL script, how you write your method database procedures, you have seen. And next, what you have seen was, we have seen CDS table function. This is the new feature from NetWeaver 7.5, and and uh, we have seen how to define them in real source instead of view, how you define a table function, and how it has importing parameters, and how you declare a AMDB class with method with table function, how you define your table function in AMDB. We have seen table function, we have seen database function, we have seen here, we have seen by database procedure as well. So these are the key takeaways here, and we also seen how to call one AMDB method in other AMDB method. So how to call it also we have seen with the syntax. We have to note it down there that we have to enclose with braces and capital letters when you use a call syntax for calling other AMDB method in the current AMDB method. So this is the AMDB method. In the next unit, we will be discussing mostly the new features of uh, HANA, new features of ABAP. That means that if you have HANA as a primary database, how you access your HANA views, how you access your database procedures, how you access your AMDBs in ABAP. So we will see them in the next unit. So that is nothing but bottom-up approach. So currently up to now we have seen top-down approach. So that means that you write everything in ABAP and you store it in HANA. This is the new future actually. In the next unit, we will be showing you, uh, uh, I will be showing you how to access HANA specific artifacts in ABAP. That means that bottom-up approach. Currently, that feature was we are not using them, but it's good to know how to access your HANA artifacts in ABAP. So, thank you.